Hey, what's up out there, everybody? Thank you as always for stopping by the channel. I certainly hope all is going well for you in your worlds. Today here, we're talking about Jojo Rabbit, based on the novel by Christine Lunens. This one is written and directed by Taika Waititi, who also stars alongside young Roman Griffin Davis and Thomasin McKenzie, with supporting roles filled out excellently by Scarlett Johansson, Rebel Wilson, Stephen Merchant, and Sam Rockwell. This is a World War II satire that centers on a young boy named Jojo. He's a bit lonely, living with a single mother and not a lot of friends, but he does have an imaginary friend to keep him company, that being Adolf Hitler. The war in Germany is raging on. The Nazi regime is all this child has ever known, and that's going to change when he discovers that his mother is hiding a young Jewish girl in their home, something that's going to challenge all the concepts of the nationalism that he's been taught since birth. It's also going to drastically complicate the bond that he has with his imaginary best friend, the vision of Adolf Hitler that he's created in his mind. Now, satirical humor is not easy to pull off, in my opinion. It requires a cleverness to it and a thorough knowledge of the subject that is going to be the focus of the satire. The tone of the humor is naturally going to be on the dumber side in terms of its delivery, both verbally and visually, but there certainly does need to be a level of intelligence behind it to truly pull off some effective laughs, and those are all things that I think Waititi manages to provide into this script that is a perfect blend of sense of humor and coming-of-age drama. There's a clear wittiness to the comedic substance that I thought was naturally appealing throughout this movie. It never really felt stale through the progression. I thought the comedy was balanced with just nicely timed dramatic undertones that make it really emotionally engaging to see this young boy experience a great deal of self-discovery as well as an overall enlightenment on life. I think the childlike cluelessness of the character complements the satire and the humor perfectly to, in my opinion, make this movie work. I mean, despite being a kid and despite it being set back in World War II, the lessons that he learns in this movie can still be applied to people of all ages in our society today, and without an overly heavy-handed delivery, the movie does have an uplifting message underneath all the attempts at humor that does shine through. Roman Griffin Davis plays young Jojo, and in this first performance of his, he absolutely knocks it out of the park with a very layered portrayal. We open up on his normal life living in Nazi Germany, and the humor really does kick in immediately through his blind loyalism to the Nazi party. He's a very proud kid who's basically been brainwashed into thinking all of these illogical stereotypes of Jewish people, something that really does capture that childlike passing of urban legends which often have no validity, and at times they defy human logic. There's just a charm to this kid that creates an innocent that does make him, in my opinion, naturally endearing despite his beliefs. And it isn't long before Taika Waititi enters the picture as Hitler, and it's just instantly amusing as he creates a very bold, outlandish, cartoonish embodiment of the country's infamous leader. I think Waititi was just vibrantly animated with his gestures and through the whimsical delivery of his dialogue. I think this really made him come across like a realistic persona that a kid would imagine. So the representation of Hitler in this movie I thought worked as well, as do the rest of the characters, and it results in just very crisp satirical humor that lands because of the timing and the writing, the knowledge of the source history, and without question from the performances. I thought the chemistry between Davis and Waititi was just very natural, with a charm to it that was able to sell their childlike friendship. Each one takes some verbal jabs at one another. It provides many comical moments as well as a few dramatic ones that I thought were all this movie needed. In complementing the characters, there was a constant layering of meaning present to really make this a thought-provoking movie when all was said and done. Through the comedic dialogue of Waititi as Hitler, the script was able to capture just that constant conforming of people from birth during the era, even in the form of passing wise tales to kind of lure kids in if needed, anything to mold a system of belief and conformity, one that this movie proceeds to break down with just a sincere message of anti-hate and societal growth. And overall, I think everybody brought this film a great performance. Thomasin McKenzie was able to command the screen, but in a very unassuming way. She had a very good chemistry with Davis as well that just captured all the layering to their friendship with authenticity. This was a crucial aspect of the film, but I thought needed to work to really sell the plot. And from the uneasiness between them early on and throughout the film as they learned from one another, the bond between these two characters I thought overall was perfectly captured by the performances of Davis and McKenzie. movie, and surrounding them, Johansson, Rockwell, Wilson, and Merchant, I thought all provided a ton of life to their smaller roles as well, to each leave their own little impression, and I thought they were the perfect collection for a satirical humor. And visually, this was a very stylized movie, but in a very subtle way that really worked nicely for the story and the time period. The color palette is a little bit washed out. The framing of the shots kind of gives off a storyboard vibe that makes the narrative feel like it's really taking you to another time and place, with characters and settings that are kind of real, but at the same time showcasing varying levels of over-embellishment, which is a positive for a comedic satire in my opinion. The whole movie has a strong Wes Anderson feel to it that I thought actually worked in creating a very fun, dated atmosphere to complement the World War II backdrops. The musical score and how the camera just moved with the flow of the music, I thought created a subtle elegance to everything, one that really added a great artistic appeal to the visual styling, and with all of these elements blended together, I gotta say this movie was an astounding success. So overall, I'm gonna give Jojo Rabbit a solid 90% on the entertainment meter. The drawbacks would be minor, but underneath the theme of the satire, I will admit, was a predictable coming-of-age tale. It's certainly heightened by great performances, yet knowing a bit where the story is going to go does make the runtime feel maybe 10 to 15 minutes too long, but overall, I definitely recommend checking this one out. It's humorous and heartwarming, and while the story moving everything forward is a little bit familiar, there's more than enough unique elements layered on top of everything to incorporate a collection of meanings and interpretations for the viewer to invest in while watching, and that's all you can ask for. Now for today's My Silver Screen recommendations, I have 3 fun comedic satires for you guys to check out. The first one being last year's Sorry to Bother You, starring Lakeith Stanfield and Tessa Thompson, as well as one of my favorites, the 1999 classic Office Space, that brings the satirical humor to the common workplace. And finally, a movie that I love called Thank You for Smoking, starring Aaron Eckhart, from director Jason Reitman, that if you haven't seen, I couldn't recommend more. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk movies with you guys. Share it with your friends, and without question, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can never miss a video. Here are some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them. All my social media links and the link to our official website are down in the description below, and I'll catch you next time.